Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 60-minute love letter we like to call the Ysn Power Hour. And of course, that love letter is to live, local, and loyal sports. And today we got a lot to talk about. We've got to play a little bit of catch up because I haven't been here the past couple days due to some activities going on around town, and of course some softball that happened yesterday, which we're going to discuss. And a big event on Monday at the Lake Club that benefited so many here in East Palestine. We'll talk about that as well. But the back half of our show is going to be interesting, and two things that we're going to talk about a lot more, especially in the days and weeks to come. We got some rule changes that have happened kind of out of the blue here, both from, I think, the national side of things, the NFHS dropping a rule change in high school sports, which the OHSAA then absolutely rubber stamped and said, yes, we're doing this. And then one from the Little League side that we're going to talk about that will change the way that the districts are. And one that I'm going to talk to our guru at some point in the next week or so, Chet Cooper, have him on and talk about the benefits of and maybe some challenges that are going to face this new rule change that we're going to talk about in the second half of our show. So if you're looking forward to that, make sure that you stick around for the 3:30 to 4 o'clock segment so that we can discuss it. I want to hear your thoughts, and a lot of you have already reached out to us in several different capacities at YSN, whether it's our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I've had a couple people LinkedIn, which is kind of cool. And then naturally, our email has been blowing up with all of this stuff. So if you're looking to talk about that, just give it a little bit of a break, and then we'll definitely get to it because we got to talk about it. I think it's been flown under the radar the last couple of days since it's been released, and I've been chomping at the bit to talk about these rule changes and how it's going to affect sports, and especially sports here locally, regionally. You get to the Little League World Series. How is that going to change the way coaches coach their kids and things of that nature? We're going to talk about all that coming up here very, very shortly. But we have to talk about, we're going to try to go priority and in order of how things occurred. So Monday was a huge, huge day. And people understand and know my connection, being an alum of East Palestine High School, playing on the baseball team, being so involved in sports in the East Palestine Youth Sports Association, EPYSA for short, being serving on village council, being in the local government, being in basically every capacity you could be at some time or another in this little village. And what we've been able to overcome to this point in the last 100 days or so, since February 3rd. And I've tried to stay away from it a little bit over the past few weeks, is let things calm down a little bit and let things get handled and taken care of. And then we can revisit it as much or as little as needed. And Monday happens. And if you're not familiar with what happened Monday, what a great, 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 great day. Not just for East Palestine, but a great representation of our valley, the Mahoning Valley. This was something that was in the national spotlight. Mike McGee, who is forever a resident of East Palestine with his heart, Jerry McGee with his father, the well-known PGA star. Jill McGee is Mike's mom, Jerry's widow, and she was a legendary teacher here in East Palestine, taught me in several different grades throughout the years. And Michelle is Mike's sister. Mike McGee is married to Annika Sorenstrom, and Annika came in and brought in celebrities, Warren Sapp, Bob Stoops, Austin Carr, Bruce Drennan, obviously Ed Moransky was here because, of his affiliation with the Lake Club. Just so many. Bernie Kosar was here. There were so many different celebrities that came in and cashed in on their promise that they were going to help support East Palestine, the residents, the businesses, and the United Way. You go down to the way station that is the Columbiana County, real big charity around here, and it was a wonderful, 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 wonderful day. So many people to thank that I'm gonna miss here just off the top of my head. But you had so many people from this valley, some huge names that were not only in attendance, but were willing to give their time, their money, their resources back to people and residents of East Palestine for future use of what they need. Because quite honestly, I don't think anybody understands what we need right now, what we're going to need in a year, what we're going to need in 5 years, 10 years. So United Way, the Lake Club, Ed Moransky, all the people that were involved, the celebrities and all the donors kind of agreed and said, hey, let's just put it all in a fund and let's shell it out basically as needed. And, part of that is going to go to youth sports, as I understand it, which is huge, absolutely humongous, because you guys know how important youth sports is, not just to today, to the present day, but how important youth sports is moving forward. So it's good to see that amount. I mean, and they raised over $400,000 to see a piece of that go to youth sports. There's more activities and more events that are coming up that we're going to talk about that are going to go to youth and sports and activities, which it's not just about youth sports, but being that we are a sports streaming platform, one of our main focuses are youth sports and sports in general. So we'll be rolling that stuff out. But Monday was awesome. The weather couldn't have been better. The what's been tough, I think, for a lot of us has been the understanding of kind of getting back to normal. And normal for me is that upbeat, like I'm around sports constantly. So it's tough to be down in the dumps for too long when you're around sports, because your job is based around games, right? Your career is based around games and things of that nature. So it was really cool to be around people that were excited to be able to help out, excited and Annika said it absolutely the best when she said, it's not just enough, and I'm paraphrasing, it's not just enough to get us back on our feet, but we all want to have our chest puffed out there, and we want to be able to say we're proud to be from East Palestine, the same way that I have been for many years. If you know me, right, I don't shy away from being from East Palestine. I'm just a kid from East Palestine, and that one hit me right here, and I kind of got pumped up again on Monday. Very proud of all the work that's been done. The constant support that we've received. Steve Hogan says EP strong. We've been so grateful, and I know it's easy to get caught up in kind of the pomp and circumstance of the national news media and all this stuff, and to get away from just saying thank you. To say thank you to everybody who's donated a penny, who said, we're praying for you, for people that have said, God bless you, for people that say that whatever you can do, for just thoughts and prayers. And I don't think people thank people enough for thoughts and prayers, because it means a lot, right? It's, if you donated a penny, if you donated $1 million, thank you. And it was a great day to say that we're on the comeback, to say that this is going to be the greatest American comeback in the history of our country. And it all starts right here in the Valley. And I think that, ladies and gentlemen, is a token of who we are as people of the Mahoning Valley, the blue collar efforts, the pick up your lunch pail and your hard hat and you go to work. And when somebody needs help, you help them. And we've seen this time and time again throughout our valley, whether it's someone who is sick or someone who's ill or, someone who is suffering an unfortunate circumstance. But when it's an entire town, everybody dropped everything that they could do to help the people of East Palestine. And whether you are on one side of the proverbial track or the other, I just want you to know that we thank you. We are grateful, incredibly inspired and grateful. And when that karma train comes around, no pun intended, we'll be right there to pick you up as well. So thank you. Thank you to everybody involved on Monday. Thank you to everybody that continues to be involved, whether you're helping local businesses stay in business, whether you're helping, buying certain things in town, whether you're rushing into town to drop off water, to hand out water, to just give and to let us know and people of East Palestine know that you're with us. Thank you. And I mean that with the entirety of my being. I mean that from my family. I mean that from my friends. I mean that from the people that I know and love in East Palestine. I don't hold an official position other than just a kid from EP, but I'm telling you, thank you. And I can't tell you that enough, because that you need to hear that, because we get caught up in what we need on day to day, but we need to say thank you to everybody that has been able to help one or help many. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. A million times over. Thank you very much. What a great event, and like I said, they raised over $400,000. So many. Jim Tressel was there, which I love being around. Mike Tomzak was there as well, who I absolutely love being around, building relationships with these gentlemen. Doug Phillips, I got to drive around, the head coach of the Youngstown State University football team for a little bit. Volunteered, my time just to say thank you to these people. And I saw a lot of friendly and familiar faces from East Palestine there that were very grateful to be in attendance, and for all of those in attendance. But a great day of golf. The auction was awesome. John Kufleitner, I think, bought everything at one point. So thanks to him for being part of that and being such a great ambassador of giving and caring for the people of East Palestine. There's, again, Jeff Risnar, 898, who we have a good relationship with as well. Thank you to him. He was a big part of that. And Ed Moransky, just overwhelmingly, you talk about a literal large human being who just gives even more than who he is. Can't thank Mr. Moransky enough. So thank you very much. Then we get to Tuesday, right? So get that, and put that, kind of compartmentalize that into Monday, and then you get to Tuesday, and I'll tell you what, some great softball playing happened on Tuesday. I had the chance with Chris Colucci to broadcast the Poland game, which they faced off against Brookfield, another YSN school, and then South Range, who faced off against Pymatuning Valley, another YSN school. So we had the opportunity to kind of have the showdown of YSN schools in the district semis, and I think we saw 5 home runs combined in the 2 games, and I don't think I've ever seen that many long balls, but the temperature was right, the mercury was right, and the softball was flying over the fence. So it was really 6. I take that back. 6 home runs we saw yesterday, because 6 home runs, because there was one on the other side as well. But you look at those teams, and they were all in the winning side of the bracket, right? So you had 20 win teams and 14 win teams, and going head to head, and you discuss these districts, right? And Brookfield and Pymatuning Valley had to come a little bit further, right, than Poland and South Range, because it was at South Range. But these were really, if you look at most of the brackets in this area, especially in this region, This was one of the most talented brackets you were going to find. And now you're going to see, with Poland winning 10-3 and South Range winning 17-0, you're going to see another matchup, the third matchup of the year, tomorrow at 5:00 at South Range, with the Bulldogs and the Raiders doing battle. And what I was so impressed with, first off, these were no doubter home runs. And what was cool in the South Range game was Julie Stakowicz, first and foremost, she struck out 14 of the 15 outs that were recorded in that game. She recorded them herself. And the only out that she didn't record via the strikeout was the last out, the 15th out of the game for South Range, which was a pop-up to, I believe, second base. So you look at that and you go, she literally, Julie Stakowicz, the senior of South Range, could have recorded every single out of that ball game against Pymatuning Valley via the strikeout, which I never have seen anything like that, even close to that. And of course, I was the one that jinxed it, but I was so amazed that it was happening. I almost couldn't let it go. It was a huge storyline in that. And also, Julie Stakowicz hit a ball that is probably still orbiting the earth. She turned on a pitch in the first inning and launched it. And I mean, no doubter, turned and burned, and she knew it. Everybody knew it in the entire in the entire vicinity of South Range. They knew it was gone because the sound it made and the oohs and ahs that you heard as soon as there was contact, the trajectory was that of a rocket ship. And she's got that power, and right now she is seeing the ball very well. Not to be outdone, her cousin, Anna A., just a freshman, sent the softball packing as well. And I thought she was going to get a second as well. Later on in the evening, she had a 2-strike count, turned on one, and crushed it foul. And this thing probably had the exit velo of someone in the major leagues. And that, no exaggeration. She hit it, and everybody, ooh, because it was a hum baby. Both of them left-handed. And again, they're cousins. They're cousins. So there's some good DNA running in that family when it comes to diamond sports, because you got Joey A., who unfortunately for South Range, suffering a tough injury that ends his at least the pitching side, the defensive side of his year. But I think he'll probably find his way into the lineup offensively somehow. He's a go-getter. He's the junkyard dog, man. The guy's got a lot of dog in him. But you look at that, I mean, that family is just absolutely tearing it up right now. And a huge reason South Range moves to the district finals yet again in a big fashion, 17-0. And then you look at Poland. Poland, as the temperature rises, continues to get better and better and better and better and better. So tomorrow, this is going to be must-see streaming on YSN. You'll get your $9.99's worth in that game alone. And I can guarantee that. That's a game you're going to want to watch. 2 NE8 teams meeting for the third time this year for all the marbles. NE8 championship be damned. District title, a little bit higher. A little bit higher on the pecking order. And one of these teams is going to be set. This has been a gauntlet in Division III. One of these teams is going to be set to lead the way into the regionals and possibly into a state semifinal, state championship type season. With everything that these two teams have been through, you look at Poland, you look at South Range, they continue to overcome. They continue to battle through it. Katie McDonald has been an absolute warrior in the circle, and she has pitched her lights out, and she has done so much. But now you're starting to see hitters like Mary Brandt, who had a slow start to the season, but she hits 2 home runs yesterday in the district semifinal. You can't tell me that she is not going to have a say in who wins that district championship. And even further, if Poland can figure out how to get past South Range. Mary Brandt is the real deal. And then you look at Bocheri behind the dish, and she commands respect back there. She does an excellent job in handling Katie McDonald when it comes to that battery. But also, she got involved offensively last night. And you can say the same thing for Trevis. You can say the same thing for 1 through 9 in that lineup. That is a dangerous lineup. And I remember, I'm going to go hop over to the South Range train here for a minute. When you hear the opposing coach say, yeah, they're going to hit the ball, we just can't make mistakes. And that's coming off of a 7-run first inning South Range put on the Lady Lakers. When the coaches just throw their arms, and I'm not saying that they were giving up, I'm saying that what are you going to do? And these are 2 teams in South Range and Poland that they're so used to seeing each other and knowing the ins and outs and the intricacies of each other's game that I don't know if you're Coach Sirich, if you're Coach DeRose, what can you throw at someone that surprises them and makes them go, ooh, yeah, I didn't see that one coming. But most of these teams that watch from afar, and this is something to kind of to keep tuned in for, because most of these teams, as we report them every day, you have Sam's 8:00 show, you have Anthony's 1:00 show, and this 3:00 show. As we report these scores and we push them on ysnlive.com and we do these interviews and we have all the things that you need to keep up with them. In my opinion, there is still a level of starstruck that some of these teams get to when they see teams like Poland, teams like Champion, teams like Columbiana, teams like South Range, teams like Austintown Fitch, teams like Canfield. You look at that Power 20 that we put out every single week, and I think some teams look at that and they go, yeah, we can get there. We can beat them. We can compete with them. We can do that because they're winning away from the NE8. They're winning away from the All-American Conference. They're winning away from the EOAC. They're winning away from these teams. This is a different ball game when you stack up against these teams in the Power 20. And that's why we take our Power 20 very seriously. We take our end of the year voting very seriously when it comes to our player of the year, offensive, defensive, MVP, things of that nature. We take it very seriously and we award them based on merit, based on what they've done, the stats that they've accumulated, the teams that they've accumulated them against, not just because they did an interview or not just because their mom or dad likes or dislikes what we do at YSN. If you like us, great. If you don't, we'll work to get better. And hopefully at some point you give us another shot. But it has no relevance on whether your son, your daughter, your nephew or niece gets an award. Or even the team that you like gets in the Power 20. Because now people look at our Power 20 and they go, oh, that's why Lakeview is always in there. Oh, that's why South Range never left the top 10. Oh, that's why Canfield. That's why Austintown Fitch. That's why. It's like that aha moment, right? When you're looking at, oh, got it. That's why. Because now you look at our Power 20 and you go, wow. Now you saw the Lakeview Columbiana game. It took extra innings, but that was a great game. Those were 2 teams that were consistently in that Power 20. And they were two teams that were consistently some of the best teams in that conference. Lakeview breaks Columbiana's season. Unfortunate. Sorry. But there's a lot of people that went, oh, I get it. That's why people talk about the NE8 the way they talk about the NE8. Oh, I get it. We heard it. It was audible from countywide. You could hear it. And that's not a knock on the EOAC at all. That's not a knock on Columbiana. It's just different, right? It's just different because a lot of people look at Lakeview and they see where they finished in the NE8 and they go, we'll just roll through this one. This is going to be an easy pick. Not so fast, my friend. Au contraire, mon frère. Columbiana is the belle of the ball in the EOAC, right? That's why we do what we do. That's why these games are important. The sectional games, I'm not going to, we've talked about it. You know my feelings on sectional games. I think they're, especially at $100 a piece for the OHSAA to charge us, they should be free to you. They should be free to us. They should just be happy that these games are being covered because the average game was a 17-run game. And I'm not saying teams combined. I'm saying that was the average margin of victory in sectional play during softball. 17 runs. That is not must-see streaming. That is not must-see broadcasting. That is a tough way to end your career in a 17-run loss. Think about being a senior and you just go, I felt bad. I did feel bad yesterday for Pymatuning Valley at some points because it should be more competitive. And I'm not knocking Pymatuning Valley at all. What I'm saying is when they created these super districts, they created monsters. Monsters that you're not, like this is Pandora's box. It's not going back in. Everything's out there now. And it's only going to get, I feel bad being an naysayer here. It's only going to get worse from here because now they're going to try to manipulate things a little bit more because that's what they do. They tinker, right? They tinker. There's no organic solution to this anymore. It's they're going to tinker until they can get it where they either can make more money from it or where they can get the teams that they want to be in those championship games when it's all said and done. And I think that's what they kind of did with these super districts. You know, it's no fault of the schools. I respect the hell out of schools that go, you know what? That's a buzzsaw and we're going in head first, but we are going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at this team to do it. And make no mistake about it. There were two teams yesterday in Brookfield and Pymatuning Valley that were very good teams. And they threw everything they possibly could. And sometimes you just got to shrug your shoulders and tip your cap and say, you were the better team today. And that's exactly what happened. And both, I will give so much credit to all four of these teams. They did it with class. They did it with class. Sam chimes in and says 4 divisions is a problem. I'm interested. I'm interested in why 4 divisions is a problem. And I'm wondering if you want more divisions or you want less of it. Like what are we facing here? I don't think less divisions is the answer. I think, but I also don't like what's the solution? Going to 7 divisions in everything, every sport? I mean, it works for football. Yeah, he says more divisions. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one for a while. I don't know if I'd like that. I'm not sure that having 7 divisions in basketball and 7 divisions in softball and volleyball, baseball, I don't know if that's the answer. Yeah, he says 7 across the board. I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to do a little bit more studying on that one. You'd have to talk me into that one, which I'm sure you will at some point in about a week. Um, but yeah, I think that that would be a tough sell for me. There's a lot of good. I mean, to win the Division 7 baseball championship, I don't know. I don't know that there's enough teams out there, you know? And I don't know what it would be based on, because I guess some of these teams are having trouble putting together enough guys and gals for a team. I don't know how they would create more opportunity for them. And a lot of these teams would kind of be bunched down anyway. I don't know anybody. I really don't know anybody. Think about, so if it's all the same and you go division, if it's all like football, so South Range would be Division 5, Poland would be Division 4. Who would stop South Range softball from winning? I mean, they would be a perennial powerhouse every year. Every single year, they would be in the state championship. I don't know who would stop them. And you look at, I'm trying to think. I mean, JFK would win state in baseball every single year. Every single year, they'd win state. So my Eagles out there are loving this idea of Division 7 across the board. All right. Football has the least amount of teams, fielding teams. I would imagine there are more baseball schools than football. I don't know that that's accurate. I don't know that there's football. I think, and I'm just speaking completely out of my butt here, but I would imagine football is because of, number one, the amount of kids that go to your school. Also, funding goes into football because football takes a lot of money, but it also makes a lot of money. Baseball, there is zero funding coming in. There's a lot less interest nowadays for baseball than especially 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. So there's that, to the point, Sam, where there's so many people steering away from baseball that they've brought in boys volleyball that is not going to help boys baseball. Well, I guess baseball in general, with their numbers. So baseball is kind of up against it. And I think with bringing in volleyball, I think that we are even further away from getting to 7 divisions across the OHSAA. I want to say when I was in school, there were 4 or 5 divisions, maybe 5. And I think that's it. 5 divisions, put a lock on it. 7 divisions to me is a little bit watered down, right? It's like adding 2 more teams in the NFL. At some point, there's going to be so much lopsidedness that you're not going to be able to come back from it. It's watered down. It's just not good, and there's going to be so many teams that are at the bottom and so many teams that are up here. Then why did you have them anyway? Right. It's you want that magic mix of teams right in the middle. All right. 709 football schools, 763 baseball schools in the OHSAA. Okay. So those are teams like Heartland Christian, right? That's right off the top of my head. Heartland Christian has one. I'm trying to think of any more that have them. Just in the YSN, I don't think so. I think that might be it. Maplewood. Chalker, maybe, I think. So there's 3. I mean, you look at that. I mean, I don't know. But if you do it for baseball, then, why not basketball? And that might be proving your point. But I don't know. Again, not a participation trophy guy. And I think adding trophies doesn't necessarily add notoriety to or shine to your trophy at this point. It's going to be the same old story. If you win that D7 title in baseball, D6 title, D5, whatever it is, people are going to say, well, back in my day, we only had 4 divisions. And did you really win a title? And not that that's the kid's fault, but it's going to be, I don't know. It's a big argument. Absolutely basketball. I lived on that hill all winter. But okay, so wait a minute. Wait. This might be easier. If you're available to pop on, just pop on. Just pop on. If you're not, I get it. I understand. But I would say you are a small school guy. You love the small schools. You appreciate the small schools. But I think the small schools winning the champion, like, how special was it when small school still Canfield, small school still South Range, small school still Warren JFK? I mean, you can go up and down. They get to the state championship. And I think it's even at D7, it is phenomenal that a team, baseball a couple years ago for JFK, they had 11 guys and they won the D4 state championship. I mean, that's crazy. Crazy. Because every person on that team was a role player. There were no guys that were just there to run game changer. There's nobody. That's incredible to me. Marlo says, I'm thinking the structure of division makes sense. Division 7? Like 7 divisions? Or do you like 4? Should we have it like football with everybody? Or should it be like basketball and other sports with there's 4 divisions? Yes. So I'm guessing the 7. We're on a little bit of a delay with these comments, obviously, but I'm guessing 7. So again, I'm not against it. I would just have to dig into the numbers a little bit deeper. Sam's already put out the numbers of 709 football schools, 763 baseball schools in the OHSAA. So I'm not necessarily arguing, but would it make sense? Would it hurt the game? Or would having an honest to gosh opportunity, and now that I'm thinking about this, you could eliminate sectionals or some aspect of sectionals that I dislike so very much. Would you be able to eliminate that and have more competitive playoffs that we could see down the line if there were 7 divisions? That might make sense. If that's what we're talking about, then that's the way it should go. But I also think you thin the herd out a little bit on the other side, and you're not going to get some of the great product that you're seeing. Some of these teams, some of these rivalries are going to go away. You're not going to see South Range and Poland in a district final, which I think takes some of the luster off of it. I think it takes some of that sexiness out of it. And maybe you're playing a team from across the state in a district championship, 3 hours away. I think that you could be in trouble with that. You could be in trouble with that because now Pymatuning Valley and South Range going head to head. And now if you separate that even more, where are some of these teams going to come from? You might have clusters of schools that play. The MAC out west, they're going to play each other and beat up on each other a little bit because they're all similar sized. Here, it's a little bit different. You've got a bunch of small schools that you'd probably see in Division 6 and 7 You know, you think about the East Palestines, the Letonias, most of the EOAC schools are going to be hanging around in that D6, D7, same with the MVAC. And then you've got the NE8, which is D6, D5, D4. Yeah, I mean, it could get very interesting for sure. Marlo says, look at how many games a team from Southern Ohio plays compared to North. No, I agree with you. I agree wholeheartedly with you. And I think that puts us at a distinct disadvantage from that standpoint, because if that happens, if you spread it out, right? If you get these 7 divisions, then you're going to play those Southern teams a lot faster, a lot quicker than you would, at least in my head, the way it's adding up. And I could be completely off base here, but if you're splitting these teams, splintering these teams, you're going to play, you're going to have them a lot quicker than you necessarily would if you had the 4 or 5 divisions. So Sam joins us in the car. What's up, buddy?
Oh, not too much, man. It's a great show. It's been a great show. This is one of those topics I absolutely love.
I know you adore this stuff. So explain to me why you think 7 divisions in all sports would be better than the 4 divisions that it's currently sitting at.
So, I look at the way football is set up right now. You've got 7 divisions in football. And if you look like logistically, football is the hardest one to actually get a team for. It requires the most kids. It requires, the most transportation, all that stuff going on. You have to have more participation in football than any other sport, but they can figure out how to get 7 divisions out of that sport. You look at a sport like baseball, participation is going to be way up. Basketball, probably the easiest. That's the biggest one that to me is a no-brainer. The more schools you have, the more divisions you should have, because you can get a more even, a more even separation, I think, in the teams. Now, with baseball seems to be, I know that the popularity is absolutely, starting to go down a little bit, but the participation, it seems to be easier for baseball.
Good thought. The transportation thing's interesting because football, you're going once a week. Baseball, softball, basketball, you're talking 2-3 times a week, in the playoffs. So that could be a problem. I mean,
Yeah,
because now you're costing the school more, and that revenue is not being matched. But I also, before you came on, I don't know if you were able to listen in, one of the things that I brought up, the transportation by itself would be horrendous, because you see some of these matchups that we have in the first round of football, and Lisbon, I think 2 years in a row, has had to drive 3.5 hours in their first round matchup. Can you imagine baseball on a Tuesday, right? You're driving 3.5 hours. You win that game, and congratulations, you've got to drive 3.5 hours back, and then you got to drive 3.5 hours back for your sectional final the same week. And district final, I mean, you could be on the road for 2 weeks straight. In part of some of these schools don't let out, 3 months ahead of time and let the kids march and do their senior stuff. Some of them actually do go to school. So I think it would be potentially a nightmare for the playoffs in just the travel schedule, because keep in mind, this is not college, this is not professional. Some of these kids are 14 years old that would be traveling, 7 hours in a day just to go play baseball, and probably either be on one side or the other of a 17-point deficit or run deficit.
Yeah, and absolutely. But see, this is where I think one of your arguments actually comes into play. And that's where you get rid of these sectionals. You get rid of these super sectional games and less play, and this burns my tongue to say, but less playoff games ends up being better, because I'm big on everybody getting in the playoffs. But when you have something like this, you go 7 divisions, not everybody gets in. Your record is going to be largely dependent on your postseason, ability to get in there. So yes, are you going to have to drive far at some point? Absolutely, because The Cincinnati team's going to play the Youngstown team in the state championship anyway. You know what I mean? It's going to happen anyway. So eventually somebody's going to have to drive. But if you get rid of some of these rounds, these early rounds, which I mean, I know that they're charging tickets, but I can't imagine that those tickets are paying any bills whatsoever for the OHSA. So I can't imagine there's too much money lost there. Less playoffs, more divisions. I think it ends up being more competitive play. Now, granted, you have powerhouses. You've got Warren JFK. You're 100% right. In Division 7, they're running there. But you know what? That's in every sport. There's always somebody. There's a Richmond Heights. There's a Glenville. In Division 7, there'd be a Warren JFK, and it's the Goliath that you have to get over that hump. You know, we both love wrestling. You got to beat the man to be the man.
No, it's true. You're not wrong. I just think that there would be less opportunity for teams. I mean, you look at what South Range football did, right? For this year, Kirtland leaves the division and it opens up that lane for South Range, and they ran through that wall. I think that if you go to D7, it opens up less opportunity across the board for these other sports than it does for football. I don't know why I feel that way. I just feel like it does, because tell me one team that would be able to stop South Range at a Division 5 or Division 6 level if the girls were in there every single year. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I think what it does is it forces people in those divisions to change the way they're playing. Like, to really change the way they're playing. So if you're a Division 4 athlete, or if you're a Division 4 school right now, there are some monsters that you're going to go against. And if you talk strictly about, and we've talked about this before too, enrollment. You know, you're talking about the biggest difference in enrollment. These 4 division sports is where it's more and more apparent. Yeah. So the more divisions, and you know what I mean? So these Division 7 teams, when it gets there, you have to start preparing different. You know what I mean? And I don't think that it cheapens anything. And the reason why I don't is because, you know, I look at a Canfield and I look at a South Range. You know, one's a Division 5 state champion, the other's a Division 3 champion. Mm-hmm. You know, there's an argument. Oh, well, the Division 3 is no, it's not. No, it's not. Like, they're both state champion. They are both the best in their lanes. I think all you're doing is just creating a new lane.
That'd be interesting. I'm going to flip the script on you here. I know we didn't prep for this, but there's 2 rule changes that are happening. And since we got 10 minutes left, if you wouldn't mind, the first one, we're going to dive deeper into this as the weeks go on. But first one is the NFHS has decided that they're going to do away with the 1-and-1 foul in basketball. They're going to go straight to 4 quarters with 5 fouls each. To me, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, you talk about cheapening the game. I think that cheapens the game a little bit, changes the strategy. Don't like it. What are your thoughts on that one?
So I think that there is a fire in the kitchen and they're watering the grass. You know, I mean, I understand, like, it maybe that's something that needed to be done to, you know, among coaches, and I would love to get a coach's perspective here. But, you know, I look in high school basketball, and we've talked about this. I've said it on my show a couple different times. There is one glaring problem. That's the shot clock. They continuously overlook the shot clock. And if any changes are going to be made, that needs to be what it has to happen. Now, the fouling in high school basketball games, it does absolutely kill the flow of the game. And I think there's something to get, like, you're going to have to start addressing it 100%. But there are more pressing problems than the fouling.
Sigler says it will help speed up the game, well, the flow at least. And then he says that he saw this coming the last couple of years since the women's college basketball went to that rule change. And then Marlo says, amen, Sam. Just amen. All right. The second one I want to discuss, and this one to me is a gator closest to the boat, because if this gets brought into the Little League, I don't know where this is going to stop. So Little League has just made a rule that you have to play, bat everybody on your roster. 1 through your minimum is 12, your maximum is 14. So if you have 14 kids on your roster, you have 14 bats in the lineup. You can DA, I mean, you can interchange them as you wish on defense, all that stuff. I don't know how this affects you have to play, an inning or two on defense or 6 outs or whatever that may be. But Sam, this is the most devastating rule to me because this takes all of the guesswork and all of the strategy out of the coach's hands, and you've got to put that roster together, your batting lineup together. You can't do a whole lot when it's done. And what happens if somebody gets injured or somebody gets injured?
Yeah. So I'm a huge proponent at the developmental level of sports.
Yep.
In the youth, in the little league, the youth football leagues, the youth volleyball leagues, everybody has to participate in some fashion. Nobody has ever gotten better sitting the bench. If you're playing the game strictly to win, you're disservicing the kids. Now, with that rule, when you put in hard rules like that, where it's not just everybody's got to participate in some fashion, everybody's got to bat or everybody's got to do this. The problem I see coming of this is opportunities are going to be taken away, and not just from kids who may, but also when you talk about the team size, I can see players where a coach may have been, let's let him run on ours. We'll run an extra kid. I can see coaches going, absolutely not. I'm already going to have a hard enough time making these kids work or making this work with the team I've got. So those little extras where coaches may have taken a flyer on a kid, and I understand how, the connotation on that is, but the world is the world and the truth is the truth. There are certain kids that coaches take a flyer on, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. I can see where maybe those flyers are going to stop because coaches are already handcuffed due to the rules.
Okay, so to me, and I'm a big baseball guy, right? And I agree. Marlo's saying it's little league. I get it. It's developmental. However, this is the same rule to me as if you put 22 guys on a football field on offense and you just let them run. Like, to me, you're not learning anything by being included in that lineup if there's 14 guys in the lineup. In T-ball, go for it. Instructional, fine. You want to go, I don't know what you guys call it, hot stove, or we called it minor league, coach or player pitch. You want to do that, that's fine, because the score doesn't necessarily matter at that point. But you get to Little League, and there's world championships on the line, and you're batting 14 kids, and the other team's batting 12. I have a problem with this. At some point, the participation trophies have to be put in the closet, and you have to realize that you have to work. If you put in the work, if you have that talent, if you're blessed with that talent, or you have that work ethic to get into that lineup, you earned that spot. I don't think that it's too young to say, hey, Little League is the line in the sand.
So you're essentially kicking the disappointment can down the road. So, during the regular season in Little League, you're going to play and you're forcing these kids to play and in some cases forcing these kids to play, I guess, but you're forcing everybody to play. But what's going to end up coming is that disappointment is going to come during all-star tryouts and stuff like that, because no matter how much we love the game and we love our kids, cuts are going to be made, and everybody loves their kid, and somebody's kid's going to get cut. So the moment you remove the competitive portion of it is when these kids are actually setting them up to fail. I 100% agree with you on that, because if you're not competing for your time to play, if it is just given to you, there's really no reason for you to work hard to even get better.
Marlo's saying it will never make it to varsity. I hope not. I hope not. But I can see something coming out. I mean, I never thought that we'd have to break down quarters with five fouls a quarter and then never see 1-and-1s again. I think the strategy now changes completely in basketball. And I think with this, there's going to be coaches, maybe not next year, but coaches at the Little League level that, as well as I do, somehow always find their way filtering up to that varsity level, that they go, hey, you know what I really liked? When I could bat 12 guys, when I didn't have to make a decision, when I didn't have to do necessarily what I was hired to do. So I don't want this at the varsity level, but I can't say that I'll never, ever, ever see it because at this point, Sam, I've learned never say never.
Oh, I can see it. The only reason I think it would have a harder time making it to the varsity level, and this is a credit to some of the most successful programs in the state, is because the most successful programs in the state will never let that pass through,
I
and
agree.
and that's where the true competition is going to happen. Um, I don't know that it would. I don't know that it's fathomable in basketball. I mean, I don't know that I think football is where it's tough. I don't know that there's not a time where they could look at basketball and say, you know what, you got 10 guys on the team, they got to touch the court.
Oh,
Now it's a different story,
oh, that's
and that's terrible. It ruins. It absolutely ruins. It takes away the competitive portion. Every spot, every minute, every play of the sport you play has to be earned, and that's why you get better from it. And if you don't learn it there, you're going to learn it hard as an adult because nobody's giving out anything.
Sam Torres. I appreciate you as always. Looking forward to taking a flight down to Dallas with you. But for those who don't know, you can see Sam every morning, Monday through Friday, right here on YSN. He's got a great show, great content. And hey, you jumped on mine. Maybe I'll jump on yours. I'll wake up early with you tomorrow and we'll hang out.
I love it. I love it. Thanks so much. Great show. I'll talk to everybody soon.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, Sam. We're going to break to do we got to do what's on YSN tonight. That's what we got to do. So let's take a look what we have on tonight, this Wednesday. Playoff softball. We've got 3 games for you. McDonald versus Matthews at Jackson Milton. Noah Doty's got that game covered for you. First pitch is at 5 p.m. Western Reserve versus Chalker at Badger. Matt Morrison's got us. And then Ty Bartell has Menor versus Austintown Fish at YSU. And we've got a little bit of an asterisk for you because we've got some baseball, playoff baseball, sectional style. This was paid for by a business or individual that said, we want to watch Columbiana baseball tonight. Can you guys do this for us? We will pay the fees. So they're paying the fee, and we are bringing it to you at no cost. Columbiana at Kirtland. Joe's going to drive out there and do the game for us. Thank you to whoever, the anonymous donor, for that. If you would like this for yours, we'll do it. No problem. No questions asked. If we get these games paid for by businesses, by donors, by anonymous donors, whoever it may be, we will completely wipe off the $9.99 fee from everybody. You could be a hero for so many people to watch baseball and softball. And again, this is just proof in the pudding that the only reason that we charge is because we're getting charged as well. So if we can get these games paid for, we'll pass it along as well. So if that's something that floats your boat, let's make it happen. Thanks to whoever did it for the Columbiana Kirtland game tonight. So 4 games on the network tonight. $9.99 gets you the 3 softball games, which is less than 1 ticket to get into those district games. And then you have a free game, which is Columbiana and Kirtland, thanks to the donor. So thank you very much for that. Greatly appreciated across the board. It is time for the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by Joe Dickey Electric. Anything commercial, residential, industrial, anything electrical, head on over to DickeyElectric.com. Speaking of DickeyElectric.com, got a chance to sit with my guy, Eric Carlson, on Monday. Got to hang out with him a little bit. We'll have to do that again next week, which I'm excited for. A little bit more time and a little bit more opportunity to chat. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some great things that are coming up on YSN, and I hate to use my Spark as a plug for the business, but I have got to tell you that we've got some awesome things that are shaking and baking going on right now behind the scenes at YSN. If you don't believe me, well, I feel sorry for you, because if you have a small business, or if you have a business at all, or you're connected to a business and you love what we do at YSN, now is the time to get in. The summer months are the time that you're getting maximum exposure. We are already at 8.65 million views this year. Not even through 5 months. Not even through 5 months. We are seeing such great exposure, such great trajectory for the brand of YSN, for these student athletes. But most of all, the thing that most people miss is for the businesses that support YSN in a category of the commercials, in category of coming out to your business and doing our shows from there. The opportunity is now. If you want more information, the time is now. Head over to ysnlive.com/advertise. I'm telling you, some of the things that are cooking in the oven, you are going to want to be a part of come this summer, this fall, and moving forward evermore in the YSN universe. ysnlive.com/advertise. Hit us up on social, hit us up on our email, whatever you got to do. You need to be a part of it. It is the biggest bang for your buck. I promise you that. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. ysnlive.com/advertise. We'll catch you tomorrow. A very special guest joins us. The brand spanking new wrestling coach for South Range is going to join us, Frank Giordano, as well as we will have Chris Colucci, the former South Range wrestler and the now YSN announcer, on with us, and he will grill the new wrestling coach. That's going to do it for our show today. Thanks to everybody for commenting, for watching. Thanks again to everybody who's supporting the efforts in East Palestine. Thanks to everybody who sponsors our show now and sponsors YSN now. And thanks to the future ones who just made a great decision to sponsor us in the future. God bless you. We will see you in 23 hours right here on the YSN Power Hour presented by Toyota of Warren. YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of